Aloha, this is Emily Thoreau-Threat, host of the Grief and Happiness podcast. Every Friday, I share with you my love notes, giving you a little something to think about as you navigate your grief journey, finding happiness expanding along your way. Every Tuesday, I post my regular podcast, sharing wonderful conversations with people you can relate to and offer you encouraging ideas and helpful inspiration. And I invite you to our Grief and Happiness Alliance gatherings for free every week on Zoom. Information provided in the show notes. Aloha. My podcast for you for today is Bereavement Leave. Allowing adequate time for people to deal with death and dying of a loved one should be a priority in our society. When each of my parents died, even though I had a good job working for the state, bereavement leave wasn't part of my benefits. I could only get off work using sick leave, and then I wasn't allowed more than 3 days. I was also working part-time at another job at that time, and they graciously allowed me to take time off that I needed to tend to all that I had to deal with at the time, but that was unpaid time off. I wonder when businesses or the government are making rules about bereavement, if the people making those rules had ever suffered a loss. I can imagine someone in the human resources department of a company telling an employee who just called in to report that his son had been killed in a car in a crosswalk, that the HR person would say, "I'm sorry for your loss, but this company doesn't provide bereavement leave. Be sure to come to work today so that you won't risk losing your job for not showing up." Things like that do happen. Think about it. Recall how you felt immediately after your loved one died. Even 3 days later, were you capable of doing whatever your job was? I felt like I was teaching like a robot, providing essential information but not engaging with my students. The evaluations my students submitted about me that quarter that my father died unexpectedly were the worst I ever received, even though my evaluations were usually very good. When employers expect their workers to keep standards that they always had while they're dealing with fresh trauma of grief, is completely unreasonable. Because I took care of both of my husbands at home for 2 years before their deaths, I wasn't working at the time they died. There was no way I could have worked either time. I was fortunate to have close friends who handled any arrangements that were essential while I sat in a fog or curled up in bed. I can't imagine how I could have worked either week. I wrote this blog because I want all of us to think about the concept of bereavement leave so that anytime it comes up, we can advocate for it. This could be anything from talking to a friend who owns a business and asking them what they do. This could start a conversation that could lead to change. Also, contact your lawmakers and ask them to advocate for bereavement leave whenever they can. Even talk with your friends. You may just be planting a seed that can lead to positive changes. And when loss comes to you, be sure to take care of yourself. Rest, eat well, meditate, and allow yourself the time to reset your focus. And when loss does come to those you care about, be sure to support them with love. That's always my intention for you to do. Thanks for listening, and be sure to order your Grief and Happiness Handbook and cards on Amazon. All profit from these sales go directly to the Grief and Happiness Alliance nonprofit organization to support these podcasts and all that the organization does to provide comfort and support to those who are dealing with grief and loss. Mahalo. Thank you.